Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Kardec Radio. This is the Sunday evening 6 p.m. daily prayer. And my name's Teresa Castro. I'm the host for the Sunday 6 p.m. daily prayer. Welcome to everyone. I hope everyone had nice holidays, continuing to be safe and healthy. And this evening, before we have our prayer, our message comes from the book, Jesus in Our Days. And this book is by the spirit Joanna de Angelis, psychographed by Divaldo Franco. And it's chapter 20. And the title of the chapter is Jesus and Enemies. Hello, Nora Brazil, dear friend. Thank you for signing in. Nice to see you again today. So the title is Jesus and Enemies. I'm only taking part of the chapter because it's a little bit too long for this short program. Suffocated by the lack, I think I will let go of the music for now. Suffocated by the lack of humanness and afraid of confronting themselves, people seek refuge in political parties, social and sports clubs, and various clusters. They stay in the crowd, but suffer unbearable loneliness. Hello, John DeRosa. Nice to see you again today. They see enemies everywhere and try to avoid them using various types of segregationist artifices, all the while hiding behind a democratic and supportive facade. The cruelest enemies, however, lie within individuals themselves. They give them life and strength through pride, selfishness, and the disguise of apparent social conventions. Jesus knew how to identify them as no one has ever managed to do in such depth. He listened to those who approached him, even though they tried but failed to hide their real motives. Hypocrites and deceivers were laid bare before his piercing vision. His moral position overwhelmed them, and he confronted them either with love or vehemence, depending on the circumstance and their intention. But he was always benevolent. He taught each one to go within and scrutinize him or herself in order to root out the unfolding webs of evil. Immediately afterwards, he would encourage them to grow personally by dismantling the mental and social dynamics that were conspiring for widespread decadence due to the drop in the cultural and emotional level that should comprise the foundation of society. Peter's thrice repeated denial of his friend serves as a powerful lesson, for as soon as he came to his senses, he wept bitterly. The explosion of tears was a cathartic chance for him to free himself from the remorse that could have rendered him neurotic and led him, like Judas, to the shame of taking his own life. He rose from his downfall and defeated his enemies, fear and cowardice, to spend the rest of his life striving to make amends through practicing the good. Jesus, in turn, accepted his offering of love and utilized him in his ministry. The Master knew Peter. That is why he predicted his defection and weaknesses, pointing out the inner enemies against Peter which would have to struggle. Do not be afraid to confront your shadows, those enemies stirring within you. Be strong and focus on Jesus, the proper therapist. Let your emotion reach him. Do not fear the adversaries with which you unconsciously live. Identify them one by one and then unburden yourself of their pressure on you. Recover your humanity and be yourself. Mix in with everyone in your social group. but preserve yourself by not giving in to the impositions of devouring and neurosis-producing consumerism. Be open to renewal, diversity, and your self-identity. Unburdened of perturbing preventions and precautions, you will enjoy optimism, an essential factor for a healthy life and wholesome social relationships. So, wow, I don't know about you guys, but I was really surprised to read this. I was expecting a whole different type of study or lesson to be presented when I saw the title of Jesus and Enemies. And we see here, he mentions the word, or she, Joanna, mentions the word twice of unburden. And I think we can connect that with forgiveness. Very often these days, people who have a hard time forgiving, and especially when they're victims of abuse, they're encouraged to use the word unburden instead of forgiveness because they just struggle with forgiveness being forgive and forget. So if we think of that about forgiveness being a way to unburden ourselves, we can see that in all the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they all talk, mention the verses, including where Jesus talked about forgiving our enemies, loving those who hate us, and even so far as he says to forgive each offense 70 times 7. And so we understand in Spiritism that it just means that we don't actually count, but it means a lot, that we should always be willing to forgive. And in this passage, they're focusing on, forgiveness of the true enemies are those that live within us. So selfishness, pride, envy, greed. And so if we look at it in terms, of forgiveness, it's forgiving ourselves, and that these are the true enemies, the ones that lie within us. And then he goes on, or she, Devaldo wrote it, but Joanna directed it, that, they give us the example of Peter, and, 3 times he, failed to or succumb to that enemy of fear and cowardice and deny Jesus. But yet, he was willing to see his wrongs and to press on, keep going. And we see that again with Thomas, with his self-doubt. He kept doubting everything until he could see it with his own eyes. So I think this message here for us is to do exactly that, to press on, to, be willing to look at ourselves and identify those enemies that are within us, and then keep going, forgive ourselves and keep moving on. Paul is another example. He saw all the wrongs that he did, and he didn't look back. He didn't fall into guilt and shame. And I think it's very nice and very clear that they point out here, what happened to Judas, not able to forgive himself. And so he succumbed to shame and taking his own life. So again, it's an interesting message, and it's very pertinent to these times when we can really get caught up in the world's imposing ideas of how we should behave and how we should act, or how we should even sometimes feel. So they're very clear in this message that we need to have our own self-identity, our own grounding, but at the same time, be willing to change. So it's a tall order, but we are equipped. And the good news is that we have Jesus as our role and model. We've had a lot of roles and models go before us that have shown us the way. So we'll now head off into our prayer. So I invite everyone to have some water nearby, because as we know in Spiritism, the good spirits can deliver to us the medicines that we need to our personal need. So let us close our eyes just so we can relax and go within and get settled, and take a deep breath. And remembering, when we see enemies, so-called enemies in other people, let us look within and see where that lies within ourselves, whatever it is that we may be recognizing as the moment as an enemy. And we thank you, eternal Mother, Father, God, Creator, for always supplying us with yet one more opportunity. Let us make a commitment to not only uplift ourselves, but those around us, and those maybe we harbor in our hearts with resentment. Let us be willing to consider Jesus' words, to love one another as he loved us. Help us to know this as not only a lesson, but a law, that we cannot possibly love ourselves if we do not love others, and we cannot possibly love others if we do not love ourselves. We pray for courage, that we may embrace our shadows, those things about us that are not so nice, and we wish were not there. Let us embrace them, knowing that nothing is by chance, and they are there for our good. And it is in this embracing that we come to see that they are only illusions. They're passing. Let us not only remember this for ourselves, but for others too, that we may practice indulgence when others do not behave as well as they possibly could. And we take this moment also to think of our brothers and sisters who are currently suffering. Let us send waves of love, encouragement, and hope, that we may remember that we are all brothers and sisters in the eyes of God. Let us remember to take this lesson with us into our week, that we may practice doing the good in any way that we can. A smile, a look of understanding, opening the door for someone, picking up trash. Let us remember that we all have something good to offer. And let us keep in our minds those brothers and sisters who are in more need than us. We thank you, Heavenly Creator. We thank you, the mentors of Kardec Radio, our guardian spirits, protector spirits, and family spirits, and even those spirits who don't like us so much. Let us remember to always extend a helping hand. Thank you for this beautiful message from Joanna DeAngelis, Diavaldo Franco, and all those who have stayed steady and true to their mission. Let us walk in their footsteps. With gratitude, humility, we ask for a blessing and protection as we close this prayer session. And so be it. Thank you so much, dear friends, for once again praying on this Sunday evening at 6 p.m. And God willing, in the new year, we will be here again, 2021, Sunday at 6 p.m. Until then, be well, be safe. Enjoy the holidays. Keep reading the books. God bless.